What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I'm here with a banger video idea. I'm doing every weight class and a fighter from that weight class that I think should change divisions. I think is a guy that should move up or should move down in the top 15 or around the top 15 of every weight class. Let's jump straight into it, man. Flyweight. I'm saying Alex Perez, dude. Now, I looked over the rankings. Obviously, Davison Figueiredo is going to move up the rankings, right? So I can't really pick him. A lot of these guys are kind of on win streaks, or their style is very suited to flyweight, or just their frame is kind of suited to flyweight. I think Alex Perez could be a small bantamweight, but could still be a bantamweight. And I think maybe a weight cut that's easier might prevent him pulling out of every fucking fight that he's in. Because if you look at this dude's topology, this guy, look at this, look at this, look at this. What the fuck is that? So, I think that if this guy had maybe an easier weight cut, we might see this guy fight from time to time. We may actually see this guy get in the cage from time to time. Um, but also just him as a fighter. He's a very good wrestler, dude. He's a very, very high level wrestler. He only really lost in the UFC to Figueiredo and then recently to Alejandro Pantoja, which are not bad losses to have, dude. So I think that Alex Perez could actually do decent at bantamweight. He's got good wrestling, like I said. He's also got really good kicks. I've seen him stop guys with fucking leg kicks, which is very rare. So I think he could move up, and I think a really good first fight for this guy would be against Chris Gutierrez. He could turn on the wrestling, do kind of what Pedro Munoz did to Chris Gutierrez, who's also quite a small bantamweight, being Pedro Munoz. So you know that he could maybe win that fight. And he's still quite high ranked at flyweight, so that's not an unreasonable ask for him to go up and get a top 15 guy straight away, even though he's on a 2-fight losing streak. So that's my pick at flyweight. We're going to go Alex Perez. All right. Moving onwards. Bantamweight. Who am I going to pick? I've decided on my boy Merab the Machine, okay? Because, listen, let's be real, bro. Merab, I don't know how tall this guy is. I'm pretty sure he's like 5'5". 5'6", maybe. He should move down to 125 immediately, right? Brandon Moreno broke his arm, so he's not getting a fight with Pantoja anytime soon. Okay, Royval doesn't deserve it. Albazi doesn't deserve it. Okay, because Royval already lost to Pantoja. Nobody really wants to see that fight unless they put that on a fight night main event. Merab could make 125 pounds one time later this year and get a title shot. He's the number one contender at bantamweight. He would be getting the title shot next if Aljo wasn't the champion. So Merab Dvalishvili could end up as a double champ if he moves down. If he moves down, wins the belt at flyweight because he's going to be bigger than all of them. He's just going to spam takedowns. And then immediately moves up and fights for the vacant bantamweight belt. We're looking at a double champ Merab in 2 fights, bro. Could you imagine how fucking mad people would be if there was a double champ Merab, dude? But listen, it's not outside the realm of possibilities. So I think that him moving down right now would be the best move for his career. Because then you end all the title, oh my god, this guy doesn't want to fight for the belt. You end all that shit. You get a free belt, basically. You're in a weaker division. You're moving down to a weaker division, excuse me. And then you can just hold on to that belt, be like, oh, I'm injured or some shit, and then move back up when Aljo leaves bantamweight. Easy, done, problem solved. You're a double champ. Might as well go up and smash Volk while you're there as well, mate. That's it, done. All right. Let's move on to the featherweight division. Okay, there's a lot of interesting guys at featherweight that are very locked out by Holloway and Holloway and Volkanovski, right? There's a lot of guys that have been frozen out of the division, basically, as a contender because of those two. So, my pick for someone at featherweight that should change divisions. I want to see T-City at lightweight, dude. I want to see T-City at lightweight. I think he can make 155. If he bulks up a little bit, I know that he's a bit of a soy boy, dude, but if he puts on some muscle, what is this photo, by the way? He looks fucking... Okay, anyways. If he puts on some muscle, dude, I'm saying, bro, his jiu-jitsu, he's got decent striking, he's got good elbows. I could see this guy being a real problem at 155, dude. I think his jiu-jitsu is like the best, still some of the best in the UFC. It might be better than Oliveira's, to be honest. I know he doesn't have the submission numbers, but when you watch this guy fight when he's winning, he is next level, bro. So I really think Brian Ortega could be a problem at lightweight. Um, and I would love to see him fight maybe Beneil Dariush if he moves up. I think that's a reasonable fight because TCD is ranked number 3 at featherweight, and Beneil Dariush is ranked number 4 or 5 at lightweight. He's coming off a loss, so he can kind of fight somebody down the rankings or not in the weight class, and it makes sense. Another good first fight for Brian Ortega would be Michael Chandler. I think that if Chandler's not going to get the McGregor fight, you can get another guy that's coach tough, a guy that's got some decent name value, guy that's had huge fights in the UFC. Brian Ortega versus Michael Chandler would be a very intriguing matchup. Either this little soy boy gets fucking melted, dude, or he jumps on a choke and submits Michael Chandler, which is a big accomplishment because, Charles Oliveira couldn't do it. So if this guy submits fucking Michael Chandler, now we're talking, hold on, can we get this guy a title shot? Can we get him a number 1 contender fight? You know what I mean? So now we're talking big fights, dude. All right. Speaking of the lightweight division, there's a lot of interesting people up there to choose. I'm going to move on. And I think that for the lightweight division, this man should move up. Dustin the Diamond. Oh my God, what the fuck is that photo? Dude, Dustin Poirier, though, he should move up. It's time, Dustin. All right, P-head, it's time to move on, okay? Now, you guys know me. You guys know I love Dustin Poirier. I'm a huge Dustin Poirier fan. I love to see him win. I hate to see him lose, okay? But listen, all jokes aside, he definitely could do well at 170. I think if he moves up, he could have a great first fight against Wonderboy, who's in need of a fight. I think that would be really cool to see. Poirier versus Wonderboy would be a very interesting stylistic kind of matchup. Wonderboy is not a grappler. He's not going to try and take down Dustin Poirier, which is a scumbag move, as we all know. If you beat Dustin Poirier, you're a scumbag. So Wonderboy, he may not be a bit of a scumbag. Another great fight I would love to see Dustin Poirier fight in his first welterweight debut would be Gilbert Burns. Could you imagine December pay-per-view, UFC 296, featured bout or co-main event? Let's do Dustin Poirier versus Gilbert Burns for 5 rounds, and the winner can fight Leon or Colby for the belt, or after Bilal is fucking wrecked the division, or something like that. Maybe they fight Shavkat Rahman, or maybe, something like that. I don't know. I think Poirier versus Burns is the next fight to make for Poirier. He's not gonna. I don't think anything at lightweight really intrigues him, and I do think Burns is like a fun kind of fight that makes him excited. I think you have to give a guy like this fights that when you see it on the resume, you go, oh, that's a sick fight, or you see that get announced, you go, oh my God, who's gonna win that, right? I don't think this guy's interested in fighting contenders. I don't think he's interested in fighting like who deserves to fight him. I think him versus Wonderboy or Gilbert Burns is a very fun next step for Dustin Poirier, and if he should move up to 170, he's a big boy. All right, Dustin's a bodybuilder, man. The guy's huge, man. Look at the guy's back, man. Moving on, welterweight division. Wonderboy, just spoke about this guy. Fuck that. He should move up. I know that his opponent just missed weight, and it should be Michel Pereira here. But let's be real. Who's going to go further at middleweight? Michel Pereira or Wonderboy? I actually think Wonderboy could go quite far at middleweight. He's very skilled. His takedown defense is underrated. His grappling is underrated. Okay, he's quite tall and long, and I don't know. Sometimes when I see him, I go, "Fuck, he's big," and then sometimes I see him, I go, "Never mind, he's still a choir boy." But listen, dude, Wonderboy could easily move up right now. There's a perfect fight for him, as suggested by the MMA Guru. If Wonderboy moves up, he could easily fight Robert Whittaker right now because of the storyline that's there between those two. Whittaker's coming off a loss. He's beat Marvin Vettori below him, Jared Cannonier below him, all these guys below him basically. He's beaten already. He doesn't really have to fight any of them again. You move Wonderboy up and you say, let's do a fight night main event, Wonderboy versus Whittaker, or maybe December pay-per-view, Wonderboy versus Whittaker. That'd be a great fight, dude. That'd be a great fight. That makes a lot of sense. That's a stylistically good matchup for both of those guys. If Robert Whittaker fights somebody else, maybe he ends up fighting Sean Strickland or Paulo Costa later in the year, or Hamzat Chimaev later in the year, which rest in peace Whittaker if that's the case. Maybe, okay, don't get mad, dude. Because for some reason, people get mad when I say shit like this. Stephen Thompson fucks up Marvin Vettori. Like, I'm sorry, Marvin Vettori is terrible. Wonderboy would fuck him up, dude. Literally, I've been trying to tell you guys for months, like, dude, most of these guys in the top 15 would beat Marvin Vettori, dude. Like, he's tough, he's got a hard head, he's got a good pace, he has no particular skills to speak of, okay? Wonderboy would stuff his takedowns for the most part. He'd fuck him up on the feet, dude. He'd make him look like an idiot. I think Wonderboy moving up to middleweight could get a really good fight to start off with, and we might be talking about a title shot. He's already on a winning streak. If he was to beat a Robert Whittaker or beat a Marvin Vettori very convincingly, the UFC may try to do Wonderboy versus Adesanya. That's a big fight as well. So this is my pick for the welterweight division as the guy who should move up. All right, let's move on to the middleweight division. A lot of contenders to talk about here, dude. A lot of contenders. Where did my heavyweight go? Oh no, my heavyweight one disappeared. Oh no, my heavyweight one disappeared. Middleweight, Chris Curtis. I'm not saying he should move up. I think Chris Curtis should move down. I think Chris Curtis should move down to the middleweight division. I really think... Oh, sorry. I think he should move down to the welterweight division. Okay? At middleweight, he just strikes me as the most average kind of dude. Alright? He's got good takedown defense. He's smaller than a lot of these middleweights that he's fighting, though. And I think if he was at 170, we'd be talking about a bigger guy with the takedown defense stats, with the natural power as well to put out a guy like Joaquin Buckley, to put out Phil Hawes. He's got good knockout power. If you put him at 170, I feel like that power translates more. Plus the takedown defense, I could see him do well. We've seen Kevin Holland do well at 170. We've seen other guys come down the divisions and do well. I think Chris Curtis could jump straight in to a fight with Jack Della Maddalena if he decided to go to welterweight. It makes sense ranking-wise. They've agreed to fight each other previously when JDM lost his opponent for UFC 290. Chris Curtis said, yes, I will fight him. JDM said, yes, I'll fight him too. The UFC didn't want to do it. If you move Chris Curtis down to 170, that is a fight you can do straight away. And I think that would be a very, very exciting matchup. And I would love to see Chris Curtis against some of the best strikers at 170, dude. I would love to see him even fight some of the guys outside the rankings at 170 with good boxing. I would love to see him fight... even like an Ian Gary, I would love to see all these fights. So Chris Curtis moving down to welterweight would be very exciting. And I think pretty good for him. All right, let's move on to the light heavyweight division. The man that needs to move down. And this is a really obvious choice. Dude. This guy needs to fucking change weight class. Dude, Jimmy Crute, bro. Jimmy Crute. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, which is just sad to say. Okay. The Almeida one is like pulled up in a different tab. All right, that's great. That's awesome. Jimmy Crute, though, this guy needs to change weight classes. All right, he's too small for light heavyweight. His striking is terrible. His head movement is Your head movement is zero, brother. Your striking is zero, brother. Why you don't move head, brother? You look like Mount Rushmore, brother. This guy, if he goes down to middleweight, he's not facing big heavy hitters anymore. Okay, he's facing guys that are equally as shit as light heavyweight, maybe more shit sometimes, right? He's bigger, so he can grapple way easier. I think Jimmy Crute would thrive at middleweight, and it might bring some discipline to him as well, because he's saying a lot of things about like, oh, I don't really love the game, like I'm finding myself like kind of in and out. Like I feel like having to make a proper weight cut will discipline this guy, and make him like dial in and focus in and really come for the win, because he has to do it. He has to sacrifice so much to make 185, right? And I think he could do it. He's got a frame for middleweight. I think Jimmy Crute jumping into middleweight could easily get a fight with Andre Muniz, or maybe the GOAT GM3 to start his middleweight career. And I would really love to see how this guy goes at middleweight. I think he has a chance to be great in the UFC. His grappling is seriously something to talk about. Like, it's something worth merit. It's just his striking. I think he needs to just abandon the striking completely and go like Jelton Almeida mode. And speaking of, dude, for the heavyweight division, where is this fucking tab, dude? Here's the fucking thing, dude. My internet is fucking terrible, dude. Here's the fucking thing. I can't even put the fucking... There it is, dude. Jelton Almeida. This guy, I'm pretty sure we were all talking about this guy being a light heavyweight anyways. This is the most obvious choice for the heavyweight division. This guy should move down to light heavyweight. If he loses to Curtis Blades in November, he has the perfect excuse. He can move down and go, look, I'm in a natural weight class, right? I was up. There's nothing natural about this guy. But anyways, dude, he can be like, oh, now I'm in a natural weight class. The heavyweights, those guys were too big. It wasn't even about skill. If he moves down to light heavyweight, he cuts down. This guy's going to be a monster. I could easily see him jumping down, beating an Anthony Smith, then just smoking some other guy at the top. He could easily be champ at light heavyweight, especially if Alex Pereira becomes champ. I feel like this guy's a nightmare matchup for Alex Pereira. Good boxing, decent power, crazy like Dagestani wrestling. So these are my picks for fighters that should change weight class. Let me know your picks down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with mine? Did I miss anybody? Let me know in the comments down below, boys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to do prediction videos for Rob Font versus Corey Sandhagen and Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul. So make sure you stay tuned for those, boys. And yeah, man, I'll see you in the next video. Go follow me on Instagram at Bedtime MMA. Because I revealed sparring footage of me knocking out Brian Ortega in the gym. So make sure you go check that out. And yeah, boys, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.